Welcome back to Talkin' Winter Ops and our special series highlighting organizations working in the winter operations and road weather space. I'm Rick Nelson, and on behalf of the AASHTO Committee on Maintenance, their Maintenance Operations Technical Working Group, and the Winter Weather Management Technical Service Program, we're proud to host the 2024 National Winter Maintenance and Road Weather Briefing. These briefings give organizations an opportunity to showcase their efforts to help you achieve your winter maintenance mission. In this episode, we're featuring the FHWA's Road Weather Management Program, and here to fill us in is Program Manager Jeremy McGuffey. Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Rick. Thanks for having me. It's good to
You
be
bet.
back.
Hey, Jeremy, I see you've got your slides queued up there. How about filling us in on what's been going on in road weather management lately?
Absolutely. And before I do that, I'll just do a quick introduction to you. Name's Jeremy McGuffey. I came to Federal Highway Administration about a year ago. So if you're listening in, you've probably heard my name before, but it's good to be here. I've had quite a bit of experience in the road weather industry for a while now, about 10 years. So happy to be here. As Rick mentioned, I'm going to be doing a brief update on the road weather management program here at Federal Highway Administration, talking about some projects that we have going on and perhaps pique some interest in those of you that are interested in what FHWA does. So before we get started, though, I do have to give a disclaimer. This is on all FHWA presentations now. But essentially, it says that the U.S. government does not endorse products or manufacturers, trademarks, or manufacturers' names appear in this presentation only because they are considered essential to the objective of the presentation. They are included for informational purposes only and not intended to reflect a preference, approval, or endorsement of any one product or entity. Except for the statutes and regulations cited, the contents of this presentation do not have the force and effect of law and are not meant to bind states or the public in any way. This presentation is intended only to provide information regarding existing requirements under the law or agency policies. A lot of words there, but essentially, we got to say it. So, getting into it, I like to tell everybody, Federal Highway Administration, we're responsible for a lot of things, particularly in the road weather management program. We cover so much ground. But it really boils down to just being a platform to help support state DOTs, non-DOT agencies, trade groups, research groups, academia, and the industry as a whole. I call us the cross-pollinators of ideas. We gather good ideas from folks and get them to the right people and make sure that those ideas can grow. And for innovations and best practices that are developed, it's good that we have so many DOTs out there and so many groups that are working on things, because if we hear that Alaska is putting together some cool innovation that they're installing, such as RWIS, for example, we can get that idea and get it out to other folks quickly, people that are looking to perhaps implement a similar idea. It's become all too common that, and this goes back to my state DOT days, that we'll be working on very similar ideas and not even realize it. It's the whole working in silos issue. But really it boils down to that. And so we're focused on the research and innovative deployments like that, sharing those best practices. But we're also, looking to the future. We're interested in new data sources, new applications that can be developed, and how we can utilize all of that data to benefit road weather operations and make the roads ultimately safer. And a major piece of what we do that I'll probably touch on quite a bit later is the stakeholder collaboration and outreach efforts that we have. There's so many different ways that we handle outreach within the program, and I have a few slides on it later. But it really is important to us as being able to communicate and get messages out to the folks that we work with. So the first project that I wanted to touch on today is called Integrated Modeling for Road Condition Prediction, or IMRCP. We do like our acronyms here. IMRCP is essentially just a decision support tool that we've developed in-house over the last few years. I say few, but it's been more than that. And the whole point of IMRCP is to take traffic data that states have available to them and weather data and merge those two data sets. You think of what, you use navigation apps on your phone and you're going somewhere this afternoon. You put in the destination and it's going to tell you how long it expects it to take you to get to that location. And this is all based off of traffic data, that navigation app has available to them. So we take this one step further and we add in all of the weather data, whether it's historic data or predictive data. And IMRCP will give you an idea of what traffic conditions will be like based on weather. So, we've used this in a few locations so far. Ohio DOT, Kansas City Scout currently has a deployment. And on my next slide, actually, I'll tell you about the Gulf Coast, which we're currently working on a deployment. But this can be used in any manner of weather scenarios as long as we can get good data for weather conditions. Obviously, RWIS and the localized data helps too, but we're really talking the high resolution rapid refresh data from the National Weather Service, more of the forecast level data, stuff that we can get our hands on. And then if you have a pretty solid traffic data set in your DOT, that can help as well. As I mentioned, we are working with the Gulf Coast states. Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama have kind of partnered to have a more regional deployment of IMRCP. This is obviously more focused towards tropical storms and the adverse conditions that they face down in the southern U.S. This is what we call phase 5 of the project. But right now, they are all working together. The program's working well. In fact, we're just now getting into hurricane season this year. So hopefully we'll, not get some severe storms, but if we do get storms, hopefully we'll get some use out of the system and they'll be able to plan, evacuations effectively using this tool. It is a GUI tool, so there is an actual application where they can go and look at a map that tells them about all these road conditions and traffic conditions based on these data inputs that they have available to them. But as I mentioned, it's to help facilitate some of these evacuation plannings. Hopefully, for the states that have 511 systems, it can help them get messages out more effectively through there. And then, with tropical weather, you have some pre and post impacts that you got to think of as well, such as storm surge. And this will help, with the planning for storm surge and when those floods recede, how traffic will look like as well. So that's kind of the update on IMRCP, is that we're working with Gulf Coast states right now in that regional deployment. The tool itself has been completed for a bit. We're just doing some updates and upgrades to it, particularly based on what we're finding on this current deployment. So for any DOT or for really anyone that's interested in using this or deploying it, it is open source. We have it posted on GitHub. And if you're interested, I'll have actually my contact information at the end of the presentation here. And I know that Rick was going to put it in the speaker's notes. So if you're interested in deploying this, reach out to me. We've done a couple of one-on-ones with DOTs who have been interested here recently. And, we're more than happy to help support this. You have to understand that, it all comes down to what data you have available to you. And you have to be willing to put in some effort to deploy it on your end. The next project that I wanted to touch on was adaptive route optimization, or ARO. Adaptive route optimization is not a new concept. It's, some people call it dynamic route optimization. The whole idea behind it is that we're taking the idea of our old school static routes, snow routes, those point A to point B routes that we used to have, and taking it one step further. Conditions change, material availability changes, truck availability changes, folks get sick, folks have to call in, all kinds of things can impact your operations. And it's not as easy anymore as just having a single route per truck that the drivers will go out and plow and come back. It's It's much more dynamic. The needs of the motoring public have changed, and things are just changing in the middle of the storm. So you have to have a system that's capable of changing with those those resources or the demands, for example. And another point that I have here is, the unknowns, crashes, closures, congestions. I always throw out what if you have an ambulance that's trying to get somewhere and they don't have a route open? You have to understand that the world's going to continue, even if the DOT is, no matter what the DOT is doing during, a severe winter storm. So, we have to be able to rise to the challenge. Things are not as easy as maybe they used to be. We're doing more with less these days. So uh, you have to make your routes and your resources go much further. So the whole idea of adaptive route optimization is essentially to make us as efficient as possible, but also to it adjusts routes based on those conditions. So I have a graphic here that kind of explains it too, but it's not. I've already said what it was. As far as the project itself goes, we've put together a couple of documents within the last couple of years. One is a concept of operations that spells out essentially how what adaptive route optimization is, how it works, and what is what tools and strategies you might need to deploy it. We also have a systems requirement document that kind of helps facilitate, maybe what tools, what data sources you might need to deploy an adaptive route optimization solution. We've done quite a few webinars and presentations on the subject. We've invited DOTs and local agencies in to provide their thoughts on, what they want to see out of all of this, what their needs might be. We've also talked with some industry partners, folks that are in the kind of the routing realm, or people who have strong GIS, mapping backgrounds, and just to get their thoughts as well. So we took a lot of that, and we actually updated the concept of operations and system requirements documents. They're going through our publication process right now. They should be ready shortly, but if you're interested in seeing what we've done with ARO so far, you can go to the FHWA's Road Weather Management Program page and download those documents and read through them. The concept of operations is quite a lengthy document. We put a lot of work into it, and it spells out exactly what you would need and how you would go about deploying something like this. And essentially, it would help you develop an RFP or develop a solution that you can perform at your DOT or agency. Last thing on this too is we do have a final, kind of a project closeout webinar coming up, and I don't believe we've scheduled it yet. But once we do have those dates out there, we'll be promoting it and making sure that folks are aware that it's going on. But it's going to cover everything that I've talked about a little bit more in depth, and talk about the documents that are available and perhaps kind of what the next steps are. The next one is kind of a joint, a dual project. The weather data environment and MDODE, which is managing disruptions to operations data exchange. Both of these are occurring simultaneously in parallel with one another. The idea, though, is that eventually the weather data environment, which has been around far longer than MDODE, will become a part of MDODE. And if you're not familiar with the weather data environment, it is FHWA Road Weather Management Program's kind of one-stop shop for road weather data and forecasts. It collects any and all RWIS data and vehicle data, forecast data that's available to us, mostly from the National Weather Service and from the state DOTs. But that's kind of where it starts and stops. The idea behind MDODE is that it's going to go one step further and collect, all program area data from the MDO team, which is traffic incident management data, road weather management data and work zone management data. So, more data available. We'll be able to populate a map with way more, events going on. That's the term that we're using for this, is events. So when you think of, you're looking at a map, for example, and the idea is that we'd be able to highlight an area where there's an event going on, and that event could be a weather event, it could be a work zone, it could be an actual traffic incident out there on the roadways. If we can tie everything to these events, then we'll be able to begin, demonstrating, impact on more of a localized or regional basis. So, to give an example, weather's kind of tough because it moves. A weather event moves regionally, but typically, your work zones are going to be constrained to an area, right? Your traffic incidents are going to be mostly constrained to an area. So the idea is, if you have a work zone going on, traffic is going to be operating, but you might also have an incident that occurs within that work zone. We don't want to separate and silo these data sets. Weather, for example, can move through this work zone and make the work zone more difficult to navigate, or it might cause incidents to occur. You don't want to constrain all these data sets to individual silos. You want to be able to incorporate them all into a larger data set that's available, so that folks who are developing applications, or tools, be it at a university or at a DOT, they have access to all of these data sets and not just a single siloed data set. So that's kind of the idea behind it. I would like to see it a little bit more once we get the actual platform rolled out. I'm part of the team that's helping to develop it, but I'm not right there at the forefront as much as I am at the weather data environment. So I'll try and provide updates, periodically as I do these program updates. But just know that there's larger. It's part of a larger puzzle, right? And as I covered previously, the MDOD, it's going to be a much larger platform. So to give everybody an idea too, whenever I talk about managing disruptions to operations, it's focused on the non-recurring events. That's why I said traffic incident management, work zone management, and road weather management. Those three are kind of the main program areas that we call non-recurring events. Recurring would be your day-to-day congestion, such as rush hour after you get off work. We know those things happen on a day-to-day basis, but the non-recurring events are the ones that sometimes are a little bit more dynamic. They might incur some more significant delays and congestion. Lastly, I want to touch on Pathfinder. So Pathfinder is a long-term program here at FHWA. We officially named the program back in 2015 or 2016 when we released our Pathfinder strategy document. But so, to kind of sum up what Pathfinder is, it's I always put it into kind of two goals. The first goal is to increase the collaboration and communication between DOTs and the weather community. The weather community could be any private weather contractor. It could be the National Weather Service. It's whoever that DOT is working directly with or feels comfortable working with and getting their weather forecast data. It's building that collaboration, that communication, and then the second goal is getting a consistent message from both of those agencies or more out to the motoring public. We want to make sure that when we're sending messages out through social media, through the 511, whatever is reaching the drivers in those cars is consistent. You don't want the DOT saying one thing and then the National Weather Service is saying something that's contradictory or just a little bit different, because folks tend to throw both of those out and not listen to them if they aren't getting a clear, consistent message. So that's kind of what it boils down to. The program's been around for a while, though, and it's been rolled out all across the U.S. Most recently, we've done some workshops in the southern states. I think the last one we done was in Arkansas. I would like to say that the program is quite successful, quite impactful, but there's always room for growth. There's a few states that we'd like to be able to touch and say, obviously the weather hits you guys here. You're experiencing some adverse conditions, whether it's snow up in the north or tropical weather down south. It could be fire weather. It's visibility issues. Whatever you experience, there's always room for growth. And even for the states that have deployed Pathfinder, if it's been a while since it's been deployed, perhaps it's time to look at how well it's worked. Review your documents that if you've had any agreements that you've put together with the National Weather Service, review those and see if perhaps the program has rooms to grow. Build on your successes, look for opportunities. Now we've seen a growth of external agencies that have become part of the Pathfinder process. A lot of states are starting to invite their EMAs, their local Homeland Security offices, state police. The whole idea is that you can really amplify that message if you can get more of these agencies involved. I always try to tell people, imagine it's your family, imagine it's your kids or your wife or husband out there on the road, and you want to make sure that they are getting the message that they need to make it home safe. And it's got to be a consistent message. So that's Pathfinder in a nutshell. I always tell people, if you're interested in learning more, if you don't have enough information on Pathfinder to make a decision, or if you would like me to just come talk about it, let me know. I'll set up a call with you. We can talk through Pathfinder. We have some documents available, including the original Pathfinder guidance document to help you get a program set up in your state. Lastly, I'll touch on outreach and publications. As I mentioned at the beginning, outreach is one of our biggest topics. It's one of our biggest focuses here at the Road Weather Management Program, because this is really how we get a lot of, not only good information out to everybody, but also how we get good ideas back from everybody. But coming up, we have quite a few things. We have a webinar series that is hosted by NOCO. It is our Spotlight, Road Weather Spotlight series. Just recently we did a webinar on the solar eclipse. It was kind of an after action review. Coming up in September, we'll be doing a kickoff to the winter, winter 2024 with some good presenters there. If you're interested in checking those out, go to the NOCO website. I'm sure that Rick can post a link there, and we'll make sure that you have the availability to register for those. It is a recurring webinar series every 2 months. So just I think if you register once, you'll get the notifications when those come available. We also have a newsletter. Excuse me. The newsletters are a little bit more frequent. They come out with more, on-demand, more up-to-date information. If one of the DOTs is working on something cool, we'll try and promote those, those innovations and those strategies through the newsletters. It also gives us an opportunity to put out, for the folks that are registered for the newsletter, they'll see any webinars or events that we have ongoing. That is a good opportunity as well. And those you can sign up for at GovDelivery. We also do a semi-annual roundtable. These are for DOTs exclusively to talk about their problems, any issues that they're facing with perhaps there's a specific weather-related issue that they want to talk about, or technology that they want to talk about. We offer this platform for the states to talk about their issues. If they want to talk about successes, we welcome that too. It's really just an open exchange of ideas between the DOTs. But those roundtables occur every 6 months. Our last one was in June, so the next one will likely be in kind of November or December timeframe, depending on how schedules align. But those will be announced when they get scheduled. We also have our annual stakeholder meeting. This is kind of the big one for us, but that's coming up in September 10th and 11th in New Orleans. We are just getting the agendas, the final agendas out. I know we sent some draft agendas out to everybody, but we're going to be covering quite a bit. As opposed to past years too, we're also expanding into all realms of road weather. Since we're in New Orleans, it is only fitting that we're going to have a session dedicated to tropical weather. So we're also inviting folks that typically haven't participated as much too. So hopefully we'll get some good participation there, and people will walk away with some renewed interest in some of these ideas that we'll be covering. And then lastly, obviously there's quite a few pooled fund groups and committees out there that we participate on. So as we attend these meetings, as we show up to these committees, we always try and share ideas. So if we hear something good through one of those, we'll try and share it with others. But we do our best to the group's quite small, so we do our best to attend as many of these as possible, so that we can gather these ideas and be able to share them with folks. We have published some publications here recently. There's a long list actually, and I believe it's on the next page here. These are just recent publications that we've put out, but to give a synopsis, as I mentioned earlier in the call, the adaptive route optimization, concept of operations, and system requirements documents, those are amongst the publications that we've published here recently. We've also wrapped up our automated vehicles and adverse weather project, so that final report and some of their supporting documents are published as well. But we also put out some fact sheets and flyers that cover practices that state DOTs are working on. They'll cover topics like low visibility, for example, and how that's being approached at different areas. And then we're also working to put together some information for the post solar eclipse, like the an after action of sorts. So all those are available on the road weather page. So if you're interested in checking any of those out, go to the FHWA's road weather page, and they should be right there on the main page. We do have a publications page that goes way back in time, and it'll give you access to anything that we've published in the last 20 years. I think this is the last couple of slides. I always throw these out here because coming from my state DOT background, I was always challenged with finding grant opportunities or, being able to do more with less, for example. So now in this role, I try my best to keep folks up to date on which grant opportunities are coming down the pipeline. I'm not directly responsible for any of these. I just try and promote them to make folks aware, there's money on the table. There's money out there. If you're looking to develop a project or implement a solution and you're having trouble getting the money you need, look into some of these grants, look into applying, because there's a lot of opportunity for you to get stuff funded. So here I'm going to talk about 2 grant programs in particular. There's actually quite a few more, but these ones are applicable to road weather, and I have actually some examples of how these have been deployed too. So the first one here is the SMART grant. It means Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation Grants Program. It is a DOT grant, so it's not actually an FHWA grant. It's from our parent agency, the DOT. This came from the bipartisan infrastructure law. There's $100 million appropriated annually for fiscal years FY22 through 26. But essentially, the mission statement is to conduct demonstration projects focused on advanced smart community technologies and systems in order to improve transportation efficiency and safety. All of that, if you really look into it, can apply to any facet of road weather. Whether it's winter operations, flooding, low visibility, you can really make a business case that any technology within that realm can apply here. So, for example, the city of Fort Worth, Texas, was awarded in FY23 a Smart Stage 1 grant, which is planning and prototyping, to deploy a network of ground low altitude roadway sensors for micro weather modeling to improve users of the Fort Worth Smart Port. So essentially, they're installing some weather devices. We all know ARWIS and the road weather information systems. This is an example of using the Smart Grant to deploy ARWIS. So, I will actually throw out there too that I believe this is the last year for the stage one, which is the planning and prototyping grants. Stage two will start to kick in next year, which is the deployment. That it's not so much the planning side, but the deployment side. So if you have an idea that's ready to go, put it in for stage one so that you can get that funding, and then you can move it into stage two. Both have separate funding limits as well. But if you go to the transportation.gov/grants page, look for SMART. It'll tell you all you need to know as far as funding limits and how you can apply and what all you need to apply. The second grant opportunity that I've been pushing, and this one's been around for a while, is the AID, which is Accelerating Innovation Deployment Demonstration Program. So it's in the name. This is a demonstration grant. So the idea is it's for already existing technologies, for example, ARWIS, that you can deploy using this grant funding. So as the mission statement says, it's to accelerate the implementation and adoption of innovation in highway transportation. It's quite vague. You can fund quite a bit in the road weather realm with this. But I also have a couple of examples included. In Connecticut, they implemented a management system using GPS AVL units to support restructuring of the agency's response to weather-related events. So this one's more AVL related for those folks who might be listening. In New Jersey, the Weather Savvy Roads pilot was funded to remotely provide real-time information of the roadside maintenance fleet to traffic management centers. So that's another opportunity. There's been a couple of ARWIS deployments that have been funded using this money. This is also a recurring grant, so it shows there's $12.5 million for each project between FY's fiscal year 2024 through 2026. This is also an FHWA grant, so if you're interested, go to the FHWA grant page and look for more information on this. And then lastly, here's my contact information. It's simply just jeremy.mcguffey@dot.gov. I would encourage you, if you through all of this, if there is anything that struck you as interesting, please reach out. I'm always happy to talk about road weather. As Rick knows, there's so much going on out there. There's a lot of people that are working on good things, and I like to get that information out to folks. But also, if you are struggling with something, you have an issue, a road weather issue in your area, and you just want some guidance or some help, reach out as well. I'm more than happy to talk through some of these things and maybe get you in touch with folks that can help you out. So that's kind of the gist of it.
Perfect, Jeremy. You guys have got a lot of stuff going on.
Absolutely. Yep.
So Jeremy, like you mentioned, I'll go ahead and put your contact information and links to your website, any other links that we want folks to have some easy access to. We'll put them below this video, and we'll put them in the show notes of the podcast. So you can reach out directly and learn more about what's going on in the Road Weather Management Program.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick.
You can listen to all the briefings and other Talkin' Winter Ops episodes on our website, talkinwinterops.com, or wherever you get your podcast content. Video versions are available on our Talkin' Winter Ops YouTube channel. Until next time, thanks for tuning in and stay safe out there.